For 80 years, the Cape Cod Room in the Drake Hotel has been one of Chicago's premier seafood restaurants with international acclaim. Well, we're here at the Drake Hotel in the Cape Cod Room. I've got George Jordan here, who came in from Canada for me. Thank you.
How you doing today, David?
You know what? I'm rocking. We've got the Provence Festival going on. Several chefs were in town visiting with different establishments, and we're at the Drake Hotel in the Cape Cod Room. And before we talk about the event and go meet with the chef, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Drake Hotel, because it's a Chicago classic.
Well, I would say that the Drake Hotel is a Chicago landmark. It's been around since 1920. This year we're going to celebrate our 80th birthday on New Year's Eve. So that's kind of an exciting event for us. So we opened up 80 years ago. We have 5 restaurants in the hotel. The Cape Cod Room has been open since 1933. Very, very famous.
I think it's the oldest existing seafood restaurant in Chicago.
I think it absolutely is, and a lot of places are imitating the kind of food that we've been doing for 60 years.
Well, now this has become somewhat popular in a lot of restaurants.
Absolutely.
You've got the seafood tray here with the oysters, the clams, the shrimp, the crab claws.
Snow crab claws. Everything that's old is new again. We're still doing lobster thermidor and lobster Newburgh. We filet Dover soles tableside every single night. They're thrown in fresh daily. So whether you want lobster or halibut or whatever the seafood may be, we've got it here, and we've had it here for a number of years.
I'm going to ask you to maybe bring out a couple of those entrees. We talked about those classics. I'm going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to visit with the chef.
Chef Leo?
And we're going to see about what he's making, some of this famous bouillabaisse.
Right.
Maybe we'll get some. Why don't you put some of that in there?
Yeah, this is the famous bookbinder soup made with red snapper, and we always top it off with a little bit of sherry right on top. It's wonderful.
I didn't
Our number
mention,
one seller.
I didn't mention this, by the way, is maybe Chicago's best clam chowder. It's perfect.
Absolutely wonderful.
Great place to go on a Saturday afternoon, but don't come. It's my place. So
Yeah.
Don't come.
We have a roux. This is made with paprika, egg yolks, potatoes, and olive oil. Here we have grated Parmesan cheese, and here we have garlic croutons. The customer helps himself whatever he wants to have with it, okay? But you have to explain him that this is made with olive oil, lots of garlic, paprika, a little bit saffron, and a touch of cayenne pepper. So what the customer usually is doing is he takes a little bit of this, puts it in the soup, a little bit of Parmesan, and then dips this in there.
Yes.
Okay? So please, the soup is much more spicy. All the fish we have here are imported, some of them from New Zealand and some of them from Europe. And yes, so it is a little bit on the spicy side, but this is Marseille, okay? So the broth is made with fennel, with fish, with leek, with onions, with bay leaves, tomato puree, and saffron, and pernod, and plenty of garlic. Bon appetit. Yeah.
That was Leo Waldheim, the chef here at the Drake, and introduce me to your chef here from Provence.
Mr. Glore, he's from the Provence, he's from Marseille,
Okay, and you're gonna be my translator.
and he speaks a little bit of English.
Yes, but
little bit of English.
very sorry, I'm sorry.
He has done bouillabaisse promotions and Provençal promotions all over the world.
Let me first explain that we're here in the kitchen at the Drake Hotel for the Provence Festival, where several chefs have come over here. And in your case, you're from Marseille?
Carry-le-Rouet.
All right.
Just near Marseille. It's a village just 20 kilometers from Marseille.
So it's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's from here to Lake Forest, Chicago to Lake Forest.
Exactly.
And they're trading recipes. So you've made a bouillabaisse. Tell me, and we just heard a little description of it.
Well, the most important for the bouillabaisse is that you really have the proper fish. So we imported fish from Europe and we imported fish from New Zealand.
What is the fish? Well, tell me what kind of fish is it.
You have a scorpion fish, you have a John Dory, you have a monkfish, you have an ocean perch, and you have a gallinette.
All right. So you've combined these together, and
What we do is we fillet the fish this morning, and with the bones and with the heads, we made the stock. First, we sautéed the fennel, the onions, the leek, with some oil, with some bay leaves, saffron, tomato, and then we added some pernod, We cooked that for about 4 hours. Then we strained it very fine, and then the fillets of the fish, we took all the bones out because we know Americans, they don't like bones in the fish. So we had to be very careful with that. So then what we do is we cook the fillet of the fish in the stock, and then we serve some of the stock with potatoes, and the garlic toast, and the roux, and the Parmesan cheese. So it's basically, it's a meal by itself. It's almost like Peking duck. It's 2 or 3 courses, you know.
So now, but you're in the Cape Cod room. It's a seafood menu, but it's a little French edged, right?
Well, the seafood, we serve a kind of a bouillabaisse in the Cape Cod all the time, but our version is much lighter. Our version, I would say, is like a pot-au-feu de poisson. It's not the real McCoy. It's so reduced and intensive like the French version. But of course, having the Marseille promotion, we want to do it the real way.
Okay.
And that's why we have Mr. Glore here.
All right, we're going to see you outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is Steve over there, and he's going to fillet the fish. George, why don't you give us a little running commentary there?
Okay, Steve Spanos is one of our captains.
Go ahead,
He's been working here. Go ahead, Steve. Why don't you start to fillet the Dover sole for us? This is imported Dover sole. It's been broiled to cook. He goes down he takes off the tail section. He's going to take off the dorsal fins, and then he's going to literally just fillet the Dover sole right down the center, debone it, and he'll take it into, I believe, four quarters and put it right onto the plate. This is a classic, and we serve quite a bit of that. Right down the center line, off comes the top.
I guess there's an art to doing that.
There is.
Look at that. Pops
Once you've done it a few times, it does become pretty easy to do. But if you try and do it at home, well, good luck. Very good, Steve.
Very good,
You've
Steve.
done
There
that
you go.
before.
Okay, we've got the food here, and George, I want to thank you for inviting us in.
My pleasure.
Steve, I want to thank Steve again, Spanos, for coming in there.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Why don't you give us at the Drake Hotel or the Cape Cod room your phone number, your address, and
Hey,
when
thanks
you're
so
open.
much for coming by, David.
Hey.
We're the Drake Hotel, the Cape Cod room. We're at 140 East Walton. Our phone number is 312-787-2200. Ask for the Cape Cod room. We've been here for 80 years. We'll be here for another 80. Cheers.
Thanks, man.